Hello everybody. Welcome back to the channel where we talk about stuff. Don't forget to leave a like on the video. I know it seems trivial, but it's a great way to actually support the channel. Everything runs on algorithms now, so the more likes that I get, the more engagement on the video, the more YouTube goes, oh, cool, people watch that, or something along those lines. I think it almost has to be my calling in life now to really get people to fully understand what's going on. And I'm not talking to all of you because I know a lot of you have a brain and you have been paying attention to the last several thousand days that I've been going through a multitude of cryptocurrency news. The news that we're getting now isn't normal, and that's usually the point that I'm currently trying to make when it comes to all of these things. The adoption levels for this tell me that something is actually taking place behind the scenes, and this isn't meant to be conspiracy like. It's not meant to, oh my, what's happening? No. Do you remember years, this was 2019, 2020. It took listen, I was going to say the words, it took the crypto world by storm, but that's not entirely true. Because I think that's when this kind of idea of, well, if prices aren't immediately affected, then it's not really doing anything. Do you remember years ago, first of all, first point, years ago, we used to have a lot of news from Coinbase, and they were telling us that they had a lot of companies and institutions who were buying Bitcoin from them exclusively. And this was when the entire idea of the over-the-counter market thing kind of began, because a lot of people were like, well, I don't see these buy orders on crypto exchanges. And you had to be like, no, yeah, they're happening through Coinbase. They have the coins somewhere and they're simply transferring them on chain. Yeah, but why aren't prices moving? Because it's just coins moving around on chain, that kind of thing. So we got to the point where in 2019, somewhere around there, we had news that apparently a number of US universities had been buying crypto. This news was rehashed at the end of 2024, somewhere around there, because we got news again that according to a US SEC filing, this is how we knew that like a lot of these companies, because they weren't announcing this, people were looking through the SEC filings and they found out that a lot of companies were buying into BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF. So these companies essentially owned Bitcoin, but through the actual Bitcoin shares from the ETF. And I think one of them was Harvard and another US university. And people were like, whoa, that's cool, but the price isn't moving. And I was like, why does that sound so familiar? Back in 2019, we also had news. Hold on, wait, I have it over here. Hold on, wait, don't move. Got it. It was Harvard, Yale, and Brown. Apparently, through their endowments. This is back in the olden days. This is before we had ETFs, because now you can have exposure to Bitcoin through the ETFs. Back in 2018, Harvard, Yale, and Brown were buying physical Bitcoin, digitally, like on the actual, like Bitcoin. They were doing it since back then. In 2014, the news came out that one of them or two, it was Brown, anyway, it doesn't matter, had some kind of exposure, and they were like, wow, they're doing this because of the ETFs. And I was like, no, they've been doing that for quite some time. Think of how Bitcoin had been around for a literal around 8 years at that point. These endowments, for those of you who don't know, endowments tend to only invest in very secure assets. It's usually land, it's real estate surrounding the universities and in other places. A lot of universities in America, the cash cows. They invest in art, you name it. It's really like to make sure that they become richer, of course, as opposed to the students, but that's something else. And then we started getting news about like pensions. This was 2020, 2019, somewhere around there. That pensions within, so this was before any discussions about 401ks being legally allowed to do it. A lot of state pension funds began to announce that they were also buying Bitcoin. This is what I keep saying. This is what I think. A lot of this blasé-ness, like, oh, okay, well, okay, that's cool. Okay, got it. Well, the price isn't moving. Like, that is coming from. I think it's this kind of, it's very easy to point people in one direction and say, like, that's the thing to pay attention to. And then people look at it waiting for something to happen. Then when nothing happens, they don't realize that around them a whole nother sequence of events has taken place. Remember when we got the Bitcoin futures? I was like, Bitcoin futures are only in US dollars. People like, no, dude, like futures are so important. And at that same exact time, the companies were buying up Bitcoin, like at spot market, while everyone was listening to the idea that if the futures numbers went up and down, that our market had to go up and down. Bitcoin drops down to $3,000. No one's paying attention. The companies are buying all of it. We hear that 90% of all Bitcoin is being held by these large wallet addresses. Well, guess what? Is Harvard, Yale, and Brown, they're also there as well. They were part of the companies and institutions who were buying when prices were lower. Then this news popped up and I was like, why is no one talking about this? No one, correct me if I'm wrong. I understand that I cannot be everywhere on the internet at once. But I mean, from a Twitter perspective, I feel like I get a good chunk of what's happening. Looking through the news, only ups it. It definitely, I'm looking at hundreds of articles every single day. And it feels like news like this would definitely make like nighttime local news look at what's happening, what's going on, why in the world would they be doing that? I saw the article and I was like, wait, how did that go? How did everyone miss this one? The state of Michigan's retirement system. The state of Michigan, their retirement system, can you guess what they've been investing in? Yes, they have tripled their Bitcoin exposure. Remember when we were hearing about all these states who were going to adopt Bitcoin and a Bitcoin treasury and this was going to, like that kind of thing? Doesn't it seem a little weird that the Michigan retirement system has been... Apparently, this has been going on since the 31st of March. On the 31st of March, the state of Michigan bought 100,000 shares of the ARC 21 shares Bitcoin ETF, according to a 13F form filing. People looked through it again, and they found out that they now have 300,000 shares of the ARC 21 shares Bitcoin ETF. If the news was before that we were told that a bunch of states were going to be adopting Bitcoin as a treasury, wouldn't it make cooler news that they're already doing it? That they're they've put Bitcoin into their retirement system for people living in Michigan. If Bitcoin goes up to $28 million, cha-ching, this news wasn't anywhere. All the news is constantly company buy more, company bought even more, or what's the other nonsense? It's something basically kissing millionaires' boots, trying to figure out if they will take you to prom or some nonsense like that, whatever the fudge is going on. What more convincing do people need before they actually take this seriously. When I said earlier, I feel like my purpose is to, everyone's gonna let this pass them by. The state, did you know that the state of Michigan's retirement fund had Bitcoin? Did you know that some of the largest, and the craziest part is, that's the Harvard, Yale, and Brown news. What about the other Ivy Leagues? What about the other colleges, universities across the United States? How many of them also own 500 Bitcoin, 1,500 Bitcoin? Like, think about it. What more do people need before they realize that this, like, is not even has a staying power, that it's here to stay? Remember that video that we just had recently? If you missed it, there was a guy, he was talking about, if you have 0.01 Bitcoin, he kind of insinuated like you're holding like a piece of like worldwide wealth as all this money sloshes further and further into Bitcoin. I am constantly confused, and I have been for a while. This isn't a new confusion that I have in my brain. When I hear stuff like this, I was going to say the electrolytes, whatever it is happening in my brain, it's firing at all cylinders are go, because it doesn't reinforce. It's like cement that has like crusted over 18 times with more layers being put on top. This is so foundational. But even when last year we had news, remember when we first started getting news because people were looking through the ETF filings and people found out it was the two or three of the largest banks within Canada. They owned initially $500 million worth of Bitcoin. And I was like, we know that the banks own Bitcoin. Radio silence. We started hearing from all these people being like, we're in conversations with these countries. They're buying up billions and billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin. Price goes down by 3%. They go, well, I guess they're not really buying. And it's like, what? What's happening? Does this news affect you at all? Do you understand the world that we're seeing around us? You know that and I say this in not a 1980s dystopian film way, that the old world is no more. The solidification and the consolidation of assets. We're talking. You know how many billionaires there are? We're gonna have trillionaires soon. If normal people can't afford 0.01 Bitcoin, what happens to these companies who are in these states? Why do you think all of it's being accumulated? Like, do you know what the future then means for you if you have no crypto? If you have nothing, I'm not going to curse. You're in trouble, buddy. Like you have no chance. And the more we get news like this, the more I sit here and I'm like, I get it. I get it more and more every single day that this is just the wave that's pushing us in this direction and people are walking away from it. They're literally not even paying attention to us. Sorry for the rant or the ramble, whatever you want to call it, but it's really bizarre to get news like this all the time. I'm sticking with my million. People are not going to pay attention until Bitcoin's at $1 million. I know they're not. I know that that's going to become the number when everyone, it's the same. I have to say it. It's the same exact thing with Amazon. Do you remember when Amazon first launched? Because I do. Everyone made fun of it. I remember being a kid and people being like the jungle? They're selling books. Oh, okay. Their stock goes up. It becomes cool to have Amazon in your portfolio. That happened with Apple. I said that before. Remember Macintosh in the 90s? Nobody wanted Apple stock. It was like 29 cents. And then they came out with those like those like tube ones, like, like the old TV, like the big ones, and like purples and blues and yellows and red, and they had all the commercial. Everyone was, oh my gosh, I love it so much. Then the stock went up over the 2000s. Now, if you bought Apple years ago, you're a genius. If you bought Nvidia 5 years, Nvidia, what? You have Nvidia stock, but it's so expensive. Oh, you got it years ago. Oh my gosh, you're so smart. And that was like random, weird. Like Amazon wasn't in the news every day. Yeah. Surprise, right? Amazon wasn't in the news every single day back then. People weren't paying attention to their stock every 24 hours. We didn't hear that Michigan, Florida, Texas, the biggest banks in Canada were buying up Amazon, Nvidia, Apple stock in the 90s. But we hear it for Bitcoin. Imagine if we had heard in the 90s. I mean, you got news, and imagine waking up daily. Remember the I remember them. The free newspapers you would get like on your way to school. I remember them. Imagine if every single page you turned, it was like this company just bought another $100 million worth of Apple. This company just why would they be doing that? But you hear it every single day. Imagine going to school and you hear explicitly, yeah, okay, so our school just bought $20 million worth of Amazon. Get to class, all have a good day. What did he just say? Amma who? What did they buy? We're getting this every 24 hours, dude. I know something's up. I don't have a time frame for it. I keep wanting to say the end of the year, but I don't know if that's just like symbolically, like new year starting, that kind of thing. I feel like we're going to get some kind of news, and it is going to freak everyone out. I think people are actually going to panic when they hear this, like, we're going to get some kind of adoption news for crypto, for Bitcoin, for XRP. No, really, I'm not joking. We're going to get something this year. And people in crypto are going to be flabbergasted. Wait, when did that happen? Prices will go up. No one will understand why. Except they should, because it's been happening every single day. Right. So, yeah, the state of Michigan and their pension has just tripled their investment into Bitcoin. What other states are doing this? How much further do I have to comb through the interwebs to find more news like this? How many other states are doing this? How many other states are privately doing this? We live in an interesting time. I am absolutely terrified of the cryptocurrency market doing a 20x and then people being like, well, that's not fair because I didn't get any. And you had this chance every single day. Last thought. I was just ranting similar something to this about a day or two ago to someone. And I was saying, I've heard from people in my life that they aren't content with the amount of money that they have. And they wish they had more and all these other kinds of things. And I sat there thinking, and I was like, you had a good, in the last, you had at least 3,000 days to do something about it. You know how long? 3,650 days. That's exactly more or less, not including leap years. 10 years. You know how long 10 years is to not do something? Actively knowing. Think about it. If you had even done the slightest and said, I'm going to save $5 a day, you would have done something. You know how you have to actively go against yourself to make sure that you do nothing to better yourself? You make sure you don't invest a penny. Over 3,000 days. Now imagine 7,000 days, 20 years, a good 20 years. You did nothing. You didn't save. You didn't invest. That, I think, is disgusting. And I'm sorry to even use that word because I know it's quite intense. I feel that it's intense in that actual statement. If you have the chance right now to become rich, to save, to invest, and I mean you, do it. Please do it. As far as we can tell, based off of history and just general knowledge, the stock market's probably going to go up for forever. We're going to have periods, a good year and a half or what have you, where the stock market goes down or trends sideways. Something economically bad happens, but then the stock market will go back up. We will continue to have companies on this planet. As far as we can tell, Bitcoin is going to become scarcer. Cryptocurrency prices are going to continue to go up. We're going to have some years where prices go down or sideways, but that's like where the big money is actually made. Doing nothing to make sure that you secure wealth for your future. No, like, think about it. Think about how much time is wasted by doing nothing, by sitting down, by not investing anything. $5 a day. How much money would you, like, think about it. Even if it's just 15, 16,000, what could you do with an extra 15, 16,000 right now? That's not even taking into account, that money going up by, 5%, 7%, 14%, 3,000% in value from the thing that you actually invested in. In another 3,650 days, do you want to be in the exact same position where you are right now? Do you want to sit there and go, oh gosh, I wish I had invested. Wish I had put money away. The weird part is investing in the stock market's not that difficult. It's literally like, you can look through articles, find out about a company, what they're doing, how much they're making, who runs, the board of the company, what their thing is. You don't have to look all the time. For crypto, it's kind of the same. And then even crazier, you get news about it every single day. There's an abundant amount of news. Do you remember, it was sometime last year. Was it last year? It wasn't that long ago. When XRP was like under $1, I think it was like 70 or 80 cents. And nobody was touching it. Now we're having all this news. XRP might be going to $15 soon because the lawsuit's over. And, XRP ETFs. People only care when the price goes up and they realize that they could have bought before. We saw Bitcoin at $3,000. We saw Bitcoin at $9,000. We saw Bitcoin at $15,000. We saw Bitcoin at $20,000. Remember, a lot of the news was like, there's no one's really buying. The ETFs launched. We had some people buying, and then that also kind of tapered off. A lot of normal people aren't buying Ether. They're not really paying attention to anything else in the market. And when, in the future, we have a $36 XRP, when Bitcoin's at $774,000, that a lot of people are going to resent it and be angry that they don't have any. They didn't buy any. Yeah, it's a very interesting market to be in. It not only shows literal market dynamics, but it shows human dynamics when it comes to logic or things around them. Remember, I said this was the beginning of the year, and I said you just heard that the United States of America is going to buy Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, etc. You just heard that 13 states are going to adopt a Bitcoin standard. You just heard that 200 companies are now accumulating massive amounts of Bitcoin. You just heard. If you didn't see, 2 weeks ago, we were talking about Google Trends. On Google Trends, you can see trends of people Googling stuff. People Googling, should I buy Bitcoin? Is Bitcoin a good investment? How much Bitcoin do I need? Or Googling Bitcoin in general was completely flat. Completely flat. That means retail investors and everyone else, they're actively going out of their way to make sure that they're not looking into it. Do you know when they're going to look into it? Do you know when retail investors always cause the Google trend to spike up? It's when prices 2, 3, 4x and they realize that they could have gotten in before. It's always that thing. where people call you a genius because you got into the market. Oh my, why didn't you tell me? I should have gotten some. No, you knew. You know about all the other things as well. There are a multitude of things to invest in, but people actively go out of their way. And once again, I'm talking about a specific people. If you tell me my friend has wings and he can't walk properly and he can't spell numbers, I'm not talking about, no, I mean like able-bodied, able-minded, who have a job. You can do it. Remember when I told you before, hello to my friend if you're watching out there. He mentioned this before. I say it all the time and I'll keep saying it. If you have garbage in your house that you don't want, you don't need, if you have extra TVs and cars and shoes that you aren't using, sell them. Use them to invest in something. It doesn't have to be crypto. It can be anything. Secure your future. Make sure that you have investments. They will go up in value. I don't really know what else to say. We're getting constant news about crypto, about adoption, about buying, about governments buying, about central banks buying up crypto. We're having discussions about Bitcoin and 401ks and Bitcoin being used for mortgages and Bitcoin's price 10xing and Bitcoin's... I don't know what people need except for $1 million Bitcoin, and then it's going to click for them. But at that point, it's too late, buddy boy. I mean, you can still buy some. You please, buy some fragments. But this is like we're witnessing the golden opportunity. There's a reason why all these companies are buying up so much crypto. They're doing it now with prices as low as they are. Because when it goes to $1 million, they'll have 10x to 20x their investment, 40x their investment. When Bitcoin goes to last point, when Bitcoin goes to $1 million, you know how few retail people are going to be buying it? Very, very few, even less than the 100,000 Bitcoin. When Bitcoin goes to 40 million, the same conversation again. You saw Bitcoin at $1 million. You chose not to do anything. You could have 40x'd your money. That kind of... Yeah. Well, high five to everyone out there who continues to pay attention, who continues to invest in general. I don't care what you're investing in. Make money. There's so much... Don't pay attention to other people, what they say, I don't care. Don't pay attention to them. Broke people are broke for a reason. Do what you need to do to make as much money as there's enough money for everyone. Do it. Make sure that you make it. Make sure that you become rich. Solidify your position in those next 3,000 days and look back and go, I did it. I'm rich now. I don't ever have to think about this again. Hope you all enjoyed. Hope you all are having a great day. Morning, afternoon, evening. Wherever you are, wherever the heck you might be, I do hope it is absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and supporting. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.